The siren rose from the night, a warning and a herald. She was coming. Lore was nearly home. Orpheus took to the halls alongside the rest of the court. Night had descended hours ago, but the gilded palace never really slept. Too many people filled its walls for Orpheus to not fondly recall when it had been his and Lore's footsteps echoing through empty corridors. Now, hundreds of courtiers bustled towards the receiving hall, donned in costumes of colorful silks and embroidered brocades like the regal courts of old. Orpheus didn't think it possible for these nobles to appear any more absurd, but someone must have circulated a message that they were to wear their most ostentatious finery, because that was definitely an aide dressed as a swan, and the man in the corner looked one breath away from hyperventilating, due in no small part to the mine's worth of gold armor he must have commissioned for just this occasion. Stupid. Excessive. Ridiculous. Orpheus avoided the crowd, slipping through a service door and taking to the tunnels. The meandering route would have wasted time, if not for the court's bloated excess clogging up the main thoroughfares. And, unlike the rest of the court, Orpheus was used to the palace's underbelly. He had lived there his whole life, after all. That didn't mean the dangers weren't very much real. Orpheus spent approximately 3 seconds checking the shadows for anything unusual, and only encountered a handful of workers coming off their shift. They trailed him through the labyrinthine maze, tools clinking in their belts as they hustled steadily towards the receiving hall along with the rest of the palace. Pouches of silver and gold hung heavy at their hips, as unassuming as they were ominous. Orpheus chewed his lip and refused to think of what portion of the palace facade they had stripped that day, which renovations had required the removal of sigils he'd spent his life within the safe harbor of. Ahead, warm light cut through the shadows of the tunnels, the crack below the service door revealing the receiving hall beyond. Orpheus quickened his pace. A guard came to attention at the other side of the door, gaze lowering when they recognized him. Orpheus may not have been wearing anything flashier than his robes, but even in their simplicity he stood out. Inky black fabric swept around his feet, his tall figure cutting a narrow shadow out of the glow of the receiving hall. Wordlessly, the guard moved forward alongside him. Reputation was a useful thing when it was born of respect, even more so with fear. Because respect was what compelled the guard to raise his pike and cut a path through the sea of courtiers, but fear was what kept his eyes on the ground when he did it. One may feel lonelier than the other, but the results were the same in the end. Orpheus stalked into the path the guard created and allowed his reputation to do the rest. Courtiers stumbled apart, opening a straight line towards the hall's double doors and the courtyard beyond. Outside, night swallowed him whole, bitter and cold.